Good morning, students. Welcome once again to this online classes on the electrostatics, physics standard 12th. Last class we discussed some of the problems pertaining to Gauss law, and we have seen some applications also wherein we used Gauss law for finding electric field due to different charge configurations, like an infinite line of charge and a thin spherical shell. Continuing our discussion, today the first topic that I would like to discuss is finding electric field due to uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. The figure shows a thin sheet of charge like so. Suppose this is a sheet of charge and the charges are present on one of the faces like this. One side has been rubbed and it has been charged, for example. One assumption is made here that this sheet is infinitely large. It is a plane sheet and it is infinitely large. Due to this, we have to find an electric field at some point, say distant r from this particular sheet. For that, we will use Gauss law. But before using Gauss law, we have to draw the Gaussian surface. Before we draw the Gaussian surface, first thing that you have to understand, student, that by symmetry, the electric field must be directed. It must be directed along normal to the sheet, infinite plane sheet. It cannot be directed like this or like this. That we can say on account of symmetry. That's why I have drawn the direction of electric field like this. Then to calculate its magnitude, we'll draw a Gaussian surface in the form of a cylinder. For that, what we do, first we take a small circular area centered at this point. With that as the base, we'll construct a cylindrical surface and then we'll extend it. It will meet the plane at a circular cross section and then we will produce it on the other side of the plane like this, such that this distance and this distance will be same. This cylinder is r this side of the sheet and r distance on the back side of the sheet. So if this is the sheet, our cylinder extends halfway this side and halfway this side. I will take this area of this cylinder, base of this cylinder as suppose A. This area, I'll take it as A. This cylinder I'll divide into three parts. This I'll call as part 1. This one I'll call as part 2. And the curved surface I'll call it as part 3. For parts 1 and 2, you can see this electric field, if it is positively charged, we have discussed it is directed along the normal. But if it is positively charged, it will be along outward normal. And if it is negatively charged, it will be directed towards the sheet. Same is true for this point also. Here also the electric field will be in this direction, E vector. And since these two distances are equal, the value of electric field at these 2 points must be same. Their directions are of course opposite. The area vector element at this point will be in this direction along outward normal. So this is our Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface. Likewise, here the area vector will be in this direction along the outward normal. For the third phase, if you choose an area element, the area element will be directed like so. Remember, this is a curved surface. If you choose any point, any region, small region on it, the area vector will be directed along the radius of the cylinder. That area vector will be perpendicular to the direction of electric field. So total flux through the Gaussian surface will be flux through surface 1 plus flux through surface 2 plus flux through surface 3. Now the flux formula is E dot delta S vector. For this, you see E and this vector, area vector, are in same direction. So the flux through surface 1 will be E, then this area, which I will write as A, times cos of angle between them, and both of them are in same direction, so we will put cos of 0 degree. Then for surface 2 also, we will have same thing, E and A are in same direction, so we will write E times A times, where A is this area, cos 0. And for surface 3 we will write E times some area A dash times cos 90 degree, or you can write in integration form, E dot E into ds into cos 90. For all the elements the angle will be 90 degree, so this becomes how much? 0. Cos 0 is 1, cos 0 is 1, Ea plus Ea, we get the answer as 2Ea. Now we shall use the Gauss law. From Gauss law, this flux phi is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times q in, where q in is the charge inside the Gaussian surface. Now this is our cylindrical Gaussian surface. Inside this, charge is present where? If you see carefully, this Gaussian surface intersects the plane sheet in a uniform circle, in a circular region like this. If you draw a cylindrical Gaussian surface, it will meet the plane in a circle. That circle is this one. On this region, circular region, whatever charge is present, that charge is present inside the Gaussian surface. These charges are present outside the Gaussian surface, so that we don't have to take into consideration. So for our purpose, we will write q in is equal to charge enclosed inside this particular region. Now what is this region? This is circular region. Do you think its area will be same as this area? Yes. How much will be this area? A. Plus sigma is given as the surface charge density. Now what is sigma? Surface charge density is defined as charge per unit area. Unit area, the charge is sigma. So on area A, what will be the charge, students? It will be this area multiplied by this surface charge density. So we will get sigma times A, equation number 2. So from 1 and 2, we will equate them. Twice of EA is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times sigma times A. Now it's very interesting to see that in this expression there is no term containing R. That's very important. I'll come back to this point. So here you find that A will cancel, and therefore our final result for electric field due to infinite plane sheet will be this. E is equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. And if we wish to write in vector form, then we should write E vector is equal to, this is the magnitude and this is the direction, n cap, where what is n cap? N cap is unit vector, and where is it directed? It is directed along the normal to the plane sheet of charge. Now this normal will be directed away if it is positively charged, and towards this sheet if it is negatively charged. As I was saying, students, this expression of electric field says that the value of E does not depend upon the distance of the point where you are finding electric field. That means if I choose one point here, I choose one point here, One is closer, one is far. But at both these distances, the value of electric field will be how much? Sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. This relation is true only if this plane sheet of charge extends till infinity, which is usually practically not very it doesn't happen very often. But for practical purposes, even if you have finite sheet of charge, suppose there is finite sheet of charge, then near its center, for points very close to it, this formula will still be true. Near its edges, this formula will not be true. Remember, this formula will be valid only for such points with respect to which the sheet of charge can be considered to be very, very large. So this is about the electric field due to uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. Let us discuss one question based on Gauss law. There is a sphere of radius r. It is non-conducting. It has some charge capital Q distributed uniformly in its entire volume. That means charge is not present only on the surface, it is present in the entire volume of the sphere. You have to calculate the electric field inside, at a point inside the sphere, that is r less than capital R radius, and for points outside the sphere. So let's see how do we calculate this. First we shall discuss the case for points outside. That means we will do part B first. So we will construct a Gaussian surface. The Gaussian surface will be in the form of a sphere of radius small r, and its center will be same as the center of the given sphere, which we write as O. So this is our Gaussian surface. First of all, we have to write about symmetry as we have done in last class for spherical cells. Because of symmetry, the electric field at any point will be directed along the radius vector. We can say it will be directed radially outward. Here the electric field will be like this, here electric field will be like this. I am not writing that point. First you have to write that part. So first you have to write about radial direction of electric field. Second, because of symmetry, I can say all these points lie symmetrically at equal distance from the sphere. That's why the electric field must have same magnitude at all points on the Gaussian surface. With this argument, now if you choose a small element over here, that element will have some area that will write as ds vector, and this electric field will write as E vector. These two vectors are in same direction. That's why the total flux phi, which is integral E vector dot ds vector, will become how much, students? It will be simply, because they are in same direction, so E times ds times cos 0 degree, and this becomes how much? E into integration ds, and that is nothing but the total surface area of the sphere. So E times 4 pi small r square. So this is the flux. Then what is the total charge inside this Gaussian surface? You can see inside this Gaussian surface the entire sphere is lying. So total charge is Q. So from Gauss law, this phi will be 1 by epsilon naught times Q in, but Q in is nothing but capital Q. So we'll equate these two. So from 1 and 2, what do we get? E times 4 pi r square will become 1 by epsilon naught times Q, which you can solve to get E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. Now this formula, you must be feeling that this is a known formula due to a point charge. What does this suggest? This suggests an important thing, that for points outside a sphere, the electric field is as if entire charge on the sphere is placed or concentrated where? At its center. Now this is very, very important statement. So what we have written? For points outside a sphere, the electric field is as if the entire charge is present at the center. If I have to find electric field at suppose this point, then this sphere can be thought of whatever charge is present, Q. You can imagine a charge Q at its center, a point charge at its center. Then for this point charge, the electric field, whatever value it has at this point, same answer will be true for that case. This statement we have also written for a spherical cell. So remember, for points outside a cell or a sphere, you can assume that the entire sphere's charge can be placed at the center, and then that distance is known to you. You can easily use this formula for finding the electric field. So this is our part B. Let us now compute part A. Before that, if in question you are given about rho, then you should know how to convert between Q and rho. What is rho? Rho is volume charge density, charge per unit volume. So total charge is Q, and that is distributed over how much volume, students? Over the entire volume of the sphere. This was the sphere. So its volume will be 4 by 3 pi r cube. So this is our rho. If you are asked to convert or express the answer in terms of rho, then you will manipulate a bit and you will write here 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Q you can write as rho multiplied by how much? 4 by 3 pi capital R cube, and then divided by how much? R square. So these things are constant. So what's important to note here is that the electric field is proportional to 1 by R square for points outside the cell or for points outside the sphere. Let's see now for points inside. So this is the sphere given. It has volume charge density rho. This is the center. Its radius is r, and from center at some distance, small r, we have to find the value of electric field. The method will be same. First we'll construct the Gaussian surface. So this is our Gaussian surface. By symmetry, whatever we have argued, same thing will be true here also. The electric field and ds vector will be in same direction. So the total flux will be integral E dot ds, but they are in same directions. It becomes E into ds into cos 0. E is constant for all points on the Gaussian surface by symmetry. So E we can take it outside the integral and we will be left with integration ds. So it becomes E times 4 pi small r square, equation 1. Now from Gauss law, phi is how much? That is 1 by epsilon naught times Q in. Now how do we write Q in? Q in is the charge inside the Gaussian surface. Inside the Gaussian surface means in this region. So charge inside the Gaussian surface, Q in will be the volume charge density rho multiplied by this volume of shaded region. What is that volume? That is 4 by 3 pi times this radius cube. What is this radius of Gaussian surface? Small r. So it will become small r cube. So this is our equation number 2. So we can equate these two equations from 1 and 2. So what we shall get? You see, E into 4 pi r square is 1 by epsilon naught times rho times 4 by 3 pi r cube. Now it can be further simplified. You can see 4 pi will cancel, r square will cancel. Therefore our final expression will be E is equal to rho into r upon 3 epsilon naught. This is the scalar form. If you wish to write in vector form, then you can write like so. That is one way. Or you can write r cap here. Or if you wish, you can write n cap, where you can write r cap is the unit vector directed radially outward if this has positive charge over it, and directed inward if it has negative charge. So what we find now, let me summarize for both the cases. That for this sphere, for r less than r, that means for points inside, the electric field was given as rho r by 3 epsilon naught. And for r greater than r, that is for points outside, E was given as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square. See, both of them should be expressed in terms of rho or in terms of q, which is not what I have done here. You can convert as per your wish and as per the conditions given in the question. What I want to discuss now is the variation of this electric field with r. Here we find that electric field is directly proportional to r for points inside the inside the sphere, and here we find it varies inversely with square of distance. So this is very important, students. If we plot the graph of E versus R, can you think of what kind of a graph will we get? This is the radius that I will write as R. This is origin. So from origin, r is equal to 0 means this corresponds to center of the sphere. From 0, r is equal to 0 to r is equal to r. That means for these points, we have to use this formula. That means E is directly proportional to r. So the graph will be straight line like this. When this becomes equal to r, the distance, the electric field becomes maximum. And what is this maximum value? You can check it out. It will become rho. Instead of small r, what will you write? Capital R and 3 epsilon naught. And if you put the value of rho is equal to q upon 4 by 3 pi r cube, you should put it out and then you will find it will become 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q upon capital R square. Beyond r, capital R, the variation is inverse square law, like inverse square law. So it will fall like so. So in this region we have E proportional to R, and in this region we have E proportional to 1 by R square. And this is the peak or maximum value of electric field which will happen on the surface. So remember, students, here initially electric field is 0. So here E is 0. Then it starts increasing and becomes maximum on the surface. Here electric field is maximum, E max, and its value is this much. And then it starts falling down and becomes 0 at infinity. At infinity E becomes 0. So this is the graphical representation for variation of electric field with distance for a charged sphere. So we'll conclude our chapter here, students. We have finished this particular chapter of electric charges and fields. So before concluding today's class, I would like to discuss some of the exercise questions from your NCERT. I would suggest you to please take out your NCERT textbooks for ready reference of the questions. Okay, so this is exercise questions from NCERT 1.6. In question it is given there are 4 point charges AB lying at the vertices of a square ABCD. The charges are QA is equal to 2 microcoulomb, QB minus 5 microcoulomb, QC 2 microcoulomb and QD minus 5 microcoulomb. At the center of this square there is a charge of 1 microcoulomb. You have to find what is the net electrostatic force on this charge which is placed at the center. I think this is a very simple question, and here there is some symmetry. You can see this is 2 microcoulomb, this is also 2 microcoulomb. This 2 microcoulomb will repel this 1 microcoulomb charge. No need to calculate how much is that force. Let that force be F. Then this 2 microcoulomb will repel this charge in opposite direction with same force F. Why same force? Same charges, same distance. That's why. Minus 5 microcoulomb will attract this charge in this direction, and this will also attract but in opposite direction towards them. This force, I'll call it as suppose F dash, This is also F dash. Now it's clear that this F and F will cancel, and this F dash and F dash will also cancel. That's why the net force in this case for the on the charge at the center will be how much, students? That will be 0. Let's see another question. Next we will discuss example 1.8. Two charges are given 3 microcoulomb and minus 3 microcoulomb. They are separated by a distance of 20 centimeter. First part of the question asks to find electric field at the midpoint of this line segment. You have to find electric field at this point. Now see, this is positively charged. Its electric field will be directed away from it, like this. This is negatively charged. So due to this, the electric field will also be in the same direction. So both these fields will be in same direction. This is the field due to A and this is the field due to B. They are in same direction. That's why the net field, that is the electric field at O, how will you calculate? Simply will add them, EA plus EB. Now how much will be EA? EA will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into charge. How much is charge? 3 microcoulomb. That is 3 into 10 to the power. It's better to first write the formula. QA by its distance square. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught I can take common. And for EB I write QB upon RB square. Now I think I did not solve, students, such things. They are just the hints. You can solve it yourself. QA you put 3 microcoulomb. QB you put 3 microcoulomb only. Don't put minus 3. That mistake will be a big mistake. If you put minus 3, that will cancel, the answer will be 0. What is the mistake? Mistake is that here I am writing it in the form of scalars. The vector part of the electric field I have already represented here. Because this was positive and this was negative, that's why their directions are in same direction, away from QA and towards QB. Because it was negative, that's why the direction has been made like this. If it were positively charged, I would have done electric field in opposite direction. Since these directions are same, I am writing the magnitude. So while writing magnitudes, don't put minus sign here. So this is also 3 and this is also 3 microcoulomb. Micro will write as 10 power minus 6. RA and RB are 10 centimeter. You can convert in meters. You will get the answer in newtons per coulomb. That is first part of the question. Second part in the question, they ask that if they put a negative charge, its value is 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 9 coulomb. At the center, at this point you put that charge Q. Then on that charge what will be the force? It's easy to calculate. Force will be equal to Q times E. Now in the question they are asking just the magnitude. So you can write F is equal to QE. Q value will put 1.5 10 to the power minus 9. E value will put this one. You will get the answer. One thing you should understand, students, in vector form we should write like this. Since this charge is negative, that's why the direction of force will be opposite to the direction of electric field. The electric field is directed from A to B. So the force will be directed in the opposite direction, that is from B to A. Is it clear, students? So let's now discuss some other question. There is an interesting question, students, 1.13. But before solving 1.13, you have to solve 1.12 because these questions are related. But 1.12 is directly based on Coulomb's law. You can solve it easily. Question number 13 reads that there are two charges QA and QB separated by a distance of 50 centimeter. And the value of these two charges are 6.5 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb. Both these charges are identical. Another identical charge on a sphere, all of them are spheres. And all of these spheres, these three spheres, are identical in all respects. They have same size, same charge. This is A, this is B, C. C was initially neutral. I should not write C, identical body C. An identical sphere, identical means same radius, same density, same material. It is first brought in contact with A. They touch each other. Remember, students, when two conducting metals touch each other, suppose A and B, if they touch each other, then charge will be distributed equally in both of them. That is the concept in this particular question. Now how much is QA? QA is 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb. And how much is QC initially? QC initially is 0. But when this sphere will touch this one, then charge will be distributed equally between them. QA and QC, because these charges will be distributed equally, after they are brought in contact, they will share equal charge. How much will that charge be? That will be simply charge on this plus charge on this by 2. That is 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7 plus 0 by 2. The question it is asked, then it is removed from here, then QC with this much charge is brought in contact with QB. And then again it is removed. So what will be the new force between QA and QB? So QA is equal to QC becomes this much. Now C is brought in contact with whom, students? With B. So QC and QB will again become equal to how much? Sum of their charges by 2. Charges will be distributed equally. So it will become how much? 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7 by 2. That is the charge on QC plus charge on QB is 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb and whole divided by 2. You will get some answer. So this will be the new value for charge on B. This is the new value of charge on A. Therefore the new force, so I will write it as QA dash and write as QB dash. So the new force which I write as F dash will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught QA dash into QB dash by separation is 50 centimeter, that is half meter square. Calculations you can do, and that is the method. So what is the concept here to be used? Whenever two metals will touch each other and these two conducting metals are identical, if they are identical, then you have to use the concept that charge, whatever be their initial charges, after they are brought in contact, they will share same amount of charge. Charge will distribute equally on them, provided they have same size. Okay. Next we have question number 18, 1.18. There is a square of side 10 centimeter and 10 centimeter. So like this, there is a square of side 10 centimeter. Above the square, at a distance of 5 centimeter from its center at a distance of 5 centimeter, there is a charge Q. And the value of that charge is given, Q is equal to 10 microcoulomb. The question reads like this: a point charge 10 microcoulomb is a distance 5 centimeter directly above the center of a square of side 10 centimeter. What is the magnitude of electric flux through the square? You have to find flux through the square. Now if you try to use integral E dot ds, that will be very difficult because we don't know what are we have to find an E at different points. The different points are at different distances from this charge, so it's very difficult for that. So we will take help of Gauss law. What we will do, we will construct a cube with this square as the base. So this is the base of the square. This point is at 5 centimeter. From the base at 10 centimeter, we will put another square. So we have two squares like this. Then one face this side, one face opposite side, one face this side, and one face this side. So you will get a cube. So let us try to construct a cube. So is it clear, students? I should have drawn it a bit bigger. This is the top face, this is the face at this side, this is the face on this side, this is bottom face. Now I think the figure is clear to you. This is the side face. These are the side faces. If you see, this charge Q is placed exactly at the center of this particular cube, and this is a closed figure. So this is a closed surface. Through closed surface, the Gauss law says that the net flux through this closed surface should be how much? 1 by epsilon naught times Q in. But Q in is nothing but Q. Q value is 10 microcoulomb. This is the flux through the cube, entire cube, which is a closed surface. And that cube, inside that charge was Q, so I have written this much. But they have asked in the question, what is the flux through this square, which I am shading with blue. This square. We have to find flux through this particular base of this square. So we'll use the concept of, again, a very important tool. We'll use the concept of symmetry. And we will say, by symmetry, since this charge is placed at equal separation from all the 6 faces, the flux through this face, this face, this face, top face, the front one, any one, all of them must be same. So let the flux through each of the faces be phi 1, phi 2, phi 3, phi 4, phi 5, phi 6. By symmetry, all these fluxes must be same. But the total flux is how much? Phi. Therefore, each one of them must be equal to how much? 1/6 of total flux. Is it clear, students? Flux through each of the faces is same. So I have written they must be equal. And their sum. What is their sum? Phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3 plus so on, phi 6. The total flux we have already calculated, that is how much? Phi, that is 1 by epsilon naught times Q. So from these two we can write the flux through one of the faces, phi 1, or suppose this is surface 1, will be how much? 1/6, because there are 6 faces. So 1/6 of 1 by epsilon naught times Q. Put the value of Q, 10 microcoulomb, micro means 10 to the power minus 6, substitute a value of epsilon naught, you will get the answer. Last question that I would like to discuss today, students, is question number 24 of the NCERT 1.24. In this question it is given that there are two metal plates. Let me read the question. Two large thin metal plates are parallel and close to each other. On their inner faces, the plates have surface charge densities of 17.0 into 10 to the power minus 22 coulombs per meter square. What is the electric field in 3 regions? The 3 regions are this, this and this. So there are two metal plates. It is given that the charge is present only on the one of the faces, that is inner faces. So this is positively charged, this is negatively charged. It has a positive surface charge density, it has a negative surface charge density. You have to find electric field in this region, this region, this region. Let me write this region as A, this region as B, and this region as C. Let us first do for region A. On region A, in region A, this metal plate, because it is positively charged, it will create electric field in this direction. So this I will write as E1 vector. 1 because it is created by metal plate 1. At the same point, this metal plate, because it is negatively charged, its electric field will be in opposite direction, and that I will call as E2. Now what are their values? Today itself we have discussed, students, due to a plane sheet of charge, the electric field at some point is given by the formula sigma by 2 epsilon naught, and I have told it does not depend upon the distance. So this point is at a different distance from them, but the distance will not be coming in the formula. E1 will be how much? Sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. E2 will also be how much? Sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Again, here it is minus sigma, that means its direction will be opposite. Now you see, these two electric fields have same magnitude, but their directions are opposite. That's why they will cancel, and that's why the net electric field in region A, EA, will be how much? 0. Same reason you should attempt it yourself will be true for region C also. Due to this plate, electric field will be towards 2. Due to positively charged plate, the electric field will be away and their values will be same, so the electric field will be 0. Now in region B, due to positive plate, electric field will be towards right, and due to negative plate also electric field will be towards right, and their values will be same. How much? Sigma by 2 epsilon naught and sigma by 2 epsilon naught. That's why the net electric field in region B will be sigma by 2 epsilon naught plus sigma by 2 epsilon naught, because they are in same direction. So EB becomes how much? Sigma upon epsilon naught. And if you wish to write in vector form, then this is the magnitude and there will be some direction where n cap is unit vector. In which direction? Net electric field EB vector will be in this direction. So unit vector directed from plate 1 to plate 2, that is positive plate to negative plate. I'll stop here, students. So I discussed some of the questions. Other questions which I have not discussed will be your assignment. So this becomes your homework. So you have to complete the exercise questions from NCERT. Also try to do the additional questions, and if you find some doubts, please put them in the query link so that it can be discussed. So thank you, and we'll meet in the next class. And one more thing, there will be test on Sunday. So before writing the test, complete the assignments, read this chapter properly, and be prepared completely for the test. I wish all my students all the very best. Thank you.